What's her name? Colleen, not that Carlene. Carlene. On Stephanie Jones Spider Search page, there's a clue. Are y'all telling me about the baby name? I don't care about this baby name. What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. Thanks for tuning in with me today. Here I have the root trees. I know this gameplay has been being uploaded here and there. I'm just trying to figure out how to fit it into my channel simply because it feels like not many people watch this video. Or I'm going to say this content with the root trees, but I still want to finish for the very few that did watch the playthrough of it. So I don't want to feel like I just gave up on you all. So yeah, if you're interested in watching, it's a pretty nice, decent mystery puzzle game, in my opinion. I feel like it's really good to put on for background noise, or even if you just want to fall asleep, or if you want to, like I said, whatever, just put it on, check it out. You'll be interested in the lore and all that stuff. Drink you some water, or grab you some water, I should say. Y'all, this is my third video of the day. Third video. I feel like this would be a very calming one. But yeah, grab you some water, grab you some tea, get cozied up. Let's get into this family business. Now, if you haven't seen the root tree gameplay, if you haven't seen the root tree, like the first half of it solving, hold on, let me zoom out. It's been a minute. I forgot how you play this game a bit. But if you haven't seen me solve this top part, I do have a video. It's already uploaded underneath the root tree playlist if you want to check that out. But if you just here for the root tree mania, or if this your first time clicking on the video, you're just like, what is she talking about? This family is very interesting. It's a very crazy storyline, a very crazy everything. But right now we are trying to figure out who are a secret root tree. So just a quick refresher for some of y'all, we are trying to fill in all of the infidelities that happen throughout this root tree family bloodline. This really isn't an infidelity. This is just an add-on to a family tree update. She had her baby. Congrats. We don't know the baby name yet, so we're gonna figure that out. But yeah, this guy right here is the main problem. Guy Hudson. He dead. He dead, but he left a trail behind of children. So yeah, we're gonna get that figured out, and we still don't know what's going on here. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember where I left off at. This is episode 3, but as you can see, we do have some stuff to look at. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start from the top. Company records. Okay, it says you are given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Matt. These records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that work directly for Root Tree or in their corporate office. The many laborers on their farms and their factories are not listed. Okay, so this is perfect because we know that Guy Hudson had an affair with one of his secretaries, if not all of them, honestly. So we might be able to find her name. You're not sure how helpful it would be except for cross-referencing Guy's secretaries and visits overseas. Spider searching people just because they are listed in these books will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of your time. Okay, thank you for telling me that because I will not waste my time. So, leadership, president, Zach Morton, special management. What year was this? Okay, 1975. Cool. Ernest Matson Jr., Edward Root Tree, Lloyd Carpenter. Okay. I turned the music up because I forgot I turned it down for this other gameplay. Carl Monroe, Elizabeth Cravensworth, okay. Eli, C. Root Tree, Fred. Okay, I see office staff. I see one woman name. Secretaries, Juliet McMullen, Joanna Robertson. This name sounds familiar. Hold on. We'll come back to that. It says Regina Clementine email from 6 pieces at prodigy.us to genealogygenie at prodigy.us. This is all the information I have about Regina Clementine. I was about to say Clemente. Clementine Nice Salazar from New Orleans, Louisiana, and her husband Stuart Clementine. She wrote me about a month ago. Apparently the Root Tree lawyers went after her since then. By the time I received her letter and called her, she told me she couldn't cooperate anymore. Her husband, who was a police officer and never knew his father, told her he thought he might be a Root Tree, but oh, wait, hold on. Her husband, who was a police officer, never knew his father, told her he thought he might be a Root Tree. Okay, so Stuart thinks he's a Root Tree. Okay, but he's estranged from his family and didn't want to pursue it because he had no proof. She wrote to me behind his back. Normally, I wouldn't be so sure, but she had some pretty credible facts. Some of it I've been able to confirm. Stewart's mother was named Mary Beth Clementine. She was pretty well known in the 30s to 50s, a singer who went on. Say less, that's all I needed. Highlight. If I can search it, I'm highlighting. A singer who went on tour to a lot of churches. She might have had an affair with I don't know if they're on here. The Miracles. Because it's kind of crazy how they bring up a church and they're heavy in the church field. But let me keep reading. You can look her up online, and she was a pretty big proponent of adoption. I said proponent. What in the world? I know for a fact that she came to Butler County a few times. I remember her from when I was younger. And Regina said that Stewart told her that they always seem to spend a lot of time at the Miracle. She sent me a photo to prove that she's who she says she is. I've attached it to this email. Oh, Sam Matson, 6 Pieces Unwrapping Miracle's Family. Sweetest Family is out now. Please consider saving a tree and not printing this email. But I printed it. My bad. Okay, so there's 3 clues in here. Let me go see this picture real quick. There's more in this confidential. Oh, it surely is. Oh, snaps. I gotta come back. Hold on. Take a picture of all these kids. This photo was given to you by Sam Matson. A woman named Regina Clementine came to her and claimed that her husband has confessed. He thinks he's a root tree. The detail of this case can be found in your evidence. Stewart's the older boy wearing a vest. The woman in the photo is Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle Root Tree. Hold on. Bring up that family tree real quick. Now, which miracle is it? Because it's like 20,000 miracles in this family. This can't be the daddy because he only had one eye. Hold on. Probably Miracle Jr. That's who it kind of looked like. I'm going to go with Miracle Jr. I forgot his occupation. I could be wrong, but that's because he could be right here. Oh, wait, no. This is part of that. No, this is right then. Mary Beth. Well, that was her name. Mary Beth Clementine. Singer or musician. Oh, I'm so slow. Preacher. Okay, I don't know. Let's keep looking. I don't know if this is going to stay right here or not. It has to, because that's the only one that's not locked in. Okay. Let's look up Mary Beth then. Let's get into her lore. I know I got to still go through the rest of this, but let me just real quick before the plot thicken on us. Oh, snap. See, this is why I just like going to the my scrapbook here and having them do the research for me. Okay, it says Mary Beth Clementine was a singer most popular in the years between 1942 and 1959. When that affair happened? 1949. Nah, I don't know. Oh, no, that's right. It's in the middle. Okay. She traveled around the country performing at churches. Her repertoire was a mix of religious and popular songs, and although she recorded a few records, they seemed lost to time. The only one you find mentioned was a cover of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, released under the label New Edison. Okay. One thing Mary Beth was known for was her adoptions. She listed on many sites that mentioned adoption in the history of adoption. She adopted 2 children in the late 1940s, Stuart and Mark. Okay. She also spoke as an advocate for the benefits of adoption in front of the United States Congress in 1949. When did the affair happen? Suspicious. Okay. Who were accompanying to debate and discuss the then recent first adoption of an African-American child to a white family in the United States. She was specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stuart. Her other son was adopted later, in accordance to a single line on one adoption site under unusual circumstances. Interesting. In 1959, it surfaced that Mary Beth has been twice divorced, both times to her manager, Sterling. This ended her career with the religious audience she had been catering to, and while she performed occasionally since then, she mostly faded into obscurity. Oh, Mary Beth passed away in 1994 at the age of 76 of a stroke. Oh. Okay, let's look this up. I feel like I can look up her manager's name and the thing and probably... Oh, it's right there. Perfect. New Addison was a small record label based in Los Angeles that existed for a few years in the 1940s. It raced to release cover records of songs that were gaining in popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. That's who she was married to. Its biggest claims to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison in Edison Records versus Edisol. You also find a few references to New Addison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of the old Rugged Cross. It says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Addison Records after its owner, Sterling Addison, got in a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. Interesting. There are no cited sources or evidence in the site's content seems user submitted. There is an email address at the bottom in the phrase "Send me your stories about old Hollywood," and I'll add them to the page. Interesting. Okay, this is the same thing that popped up. Okay, let me see if I search Sterling Edison, even though. Okay, let me see if I searched him in the, what is it, periodical? Business Watch, maybe? I doubt it. No, let me see under. See, all this stuff is more modernized. Wait, what is this? Edison Records was a large company with many different releases over the years. There are a ton of mention in Modern Music Monthly, but none is relevant. Okay. What about Butler County? Nothing. I know I gotta search. What's her name? The Clementine lady. Silver Screen? Starlet? These are newer. No one's gonna be talking about them in these. Teen Blast? Doubt it. Okay, let me go back to Butler County. Then let me copy and paste her name. Okay. Ooh. Mary Beth Clementine came to Butler County a few times and played religious hymns at the Miracle Congregation Church. She's mentioned 2 times, though. The first visit from 1949 was significantly more substantial. Miracle Congregation welcomes Mary Beth Clementine with open arms. The article mentioned that the church's leader was moved when he heard Mary Beth's recording of one of his favorite hymns, "His Eyes is on the Sparrow," and reached out to her personally. "His Eyes is on a Sparrow" holds a very special meaning to me. As you know, I have a very difficult upbringing, and it's no secret that my own eyes have always been a source of struggle. Oh, so she had dealings with their dad. Interesting. Okay. The song is about overcoming sadness and hardship through Jesus. If God can find a way to watch over every sparrow, he can certainly watch over those made in his image. My family's fortune doesn't mean no good as a man of the Lord. It's much better spent spreading his word, and I've felt a kinship with Mary Beth ever since I heard her voice. When I learned her personal story, I knew I had to help her in whatever way I could. The Bible is full of adoptions, from Moses to Esther. Spending your life taking care of those helpless to help themselves is incredibly noble. She and her son are welcome to stay in our guest home. The second visit was a few years later in 1953. The article mentions that her first visit was a massive success. At the insistence of Miracle's congregation, she returned for an encore performance. It also mentioned that the unusual circumstances of her second son adoption have prevented her from touring recently, but doesn't clarify. Interesting. Is that because she gave birth? That's why she couldn't tour? Mary Beth Clementine was reviewed and advertised many times in Modern Music Monthly, but the most popular recording was the release of her cover of "He's Got the Whole World in His Hand." It was released under the label New Addison. Modern Music Monthly had a very positive review of her cover, and the writer complimented her voice and the tone of her guitar. The review had nothing to say about Mary Beth herself, so it's not of much use to her investigation. And notice she had her baby after she met oh boy, Stuart isn't the kid, it's Mark. Mark is the son, or whatever the second child name is. I don't know where I got Mark from, but I think that's his name. Modern Music Monthly had a very positive review of her cover, and the writer complimented her voice and the tone of her guitar. The review had nothing to say about Mary Beth herself, so it's not of much use to your investigation. There are also other Mary Beth Clementine releases that appeared over the years. One of them was the Old Rugged Cross, which is the only song that was advertised but not reviewed. Okay. Should I go down each one now? Okay. I know she's not in these newer ones. I just like to check just in case. You never know. Never know. Okay, so what am I getting about Mary Beth? So, what is his name? He's not Miracle Jr. He's the original Miracle. But nothing's wrong with his eyes. That's what's throwing me off. Or is it? I can't tell on this tiny picture. Let me see. He's right here. Zoom in. This is as zoomed in I can get. Let me go to the original. I need to dig more into her lore because I mean that this is his son. I'm gonna leave it as Miracle Jr. for right now, but I'm going to give this to Sterling Addison. Oh, I don't have a picture of him yet. Oh no, it says who may have had an affair with Miracle Rutri. Yeah, the original. Oh, so it's not Miracle Jr. It is actual Miracle Rutri. Okay. Okay, let me go back to the confidential. Page 2. In 1977, it was announced that Zach would be retiring and Guy would be taking over. Okay, so this is going to make me go back, focus on Guy's story. So I'm trying to figure out whose story should I focus mainly on, because I don't want us to be hopping around too much. Let me just read this and then we'll figure it out. Guy will be taken over at the start of 1978. They held the retirement party in November before spending the final month working on the transition. Through 1976 and 1977, the following changes took place. 1977, Guy Hudson has replaced Ernest Madison Jr. as special management. Okay. So they showed us who was all hired. Let's see, who did he keep? Or who did he hire? Patrick Decker was hired. Eli C. Rutri is no longer employed by Rutri. Ernest Madison Jr. is now listed under product management. Secretaries. Christine Farrow was hired. Joanne Robertson is no longer listed amongst the secretaries, but a Joanne Fellows has been added to the list. Joanne Fellows and Beth Knox are no longer employed by Rutri. So did she get married? Christine Farrow is no longer listed amongst the secretaries, but a Christine Garland had been hired. It sounds like to me, this is just trying to throw me off. They added all these, it's kind of like how they did last time. So I feel like either somebody got married or they just throwing me off with names. Wait, what about Beth Knox? What happened? Okay, she was no longer employed by Rutri. But then down here, it's, oh, this is expenses. Beth Knox 50-year work anniversary bonus. Ooh, $50,000. Zach Morton retirement party, $20,000. Okay. Gwyneth Madison was hired. John Miller is no longer employed by Rutri. Interesting. I mean, last episode, I know we was deep in Guy's story. And that's how we end up being all in China and Brazil and all these places. But I now got an interest inside of this Miracle. And look this, I already know it's going to take us forever to get through Guy. So would it kill us to knock out the little ones while we can? No. But I am going to get a hint right now because... And I hope when I get this hint, it does not give me a hint for Guy. Let's just do it. Okay, they said look at the evidence first. Okay, so let's finish reading the rest of this and then hopefully we get us a one for, who is it I'm trying to stick to? The Miracle. In 1978, Guy Hudson took over. This began a particular volatile period in the company's staffing. Many travel expenses were listed and Guy began trying to develop new 5 pieces flavor. This is where he came out with caviar, y'all. The following changes were recorded. Leadership, Guy Hudson replaced Zachariah Morden. 1979, Edward Rutri, Elizabeth Cravensworth, and Lloyd Carpenter are no longer employed by Rutri. Raffertoons is now listed as office staff. Product management, Albert Cross and Fred Cross are no longer employed by Rutri. Christine Garland is no longer working for Rutri. Beatrice Watts and Corrine Schwartz were hired. Juliet McCullen and Doris Mays are no longer employed by Roottree. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewig were hired. Thomas Green, Michael Crane, Elizabeth Farrow, Jack Keatings are no longer employed by Roottree. This is under farm and manufacturing. Emily Seinfeld and Sam Cattrall were hired. That name sounds familiar. Robert Logan is no longer employed by Roottree. William Sams was hired. Susan Ford was hired under a special category that only existed for 1 year. Interpreter. That's because he was doing all that over the seas mess. Major expenses. Presidential office refurbishment. Who you thought he was? Trump. 5 pieces flavor development caviar. Edward Roottree retirement party. Christmas tree bash. New Year's Eve ball. Excuse me. Did we visit Australia when we was researching for him? I don't think so. Travel expenses. Australia, China, France, Brazil. 5-piece flavor development butterscotch. 5-piece flavor development caviar. How do you go from butterscotch to caviar? Wasn't caviar on here twice? Did you try to do this twice? Or is this just because it was popular in one of these places? I forgot. We had the 4th of July spectacular and New Year's Eve ball again. He came in and made this a party town. Okay. The volatility continued. Many new employees didn't intend to stick around very long. The following changes were recorded. Terry O'Connor was hired. Susan Ford has been moved to office staff. Douglas Rosenberg is no longer employed by Roottree. Edward Morrison and Robert Andrews were hired. Edward Morrison is no longer employed by Roottree. Wow. Okay, yeah, they really wasn't staying long. Everybody kept leaving. 1980s, Corrine Schwartz and Beatrice Watts are no longer employed by Roottree. Linda Lewis and Angela Ingram were hired. In 1981, Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewig are no longer employed by Roottree. Katherine Garrett was hired. Wow. William Sams is no longer employed by Roottree. Emily Seinfeld is no longer employed, and Emily Barnes is now listed. Gwyneth Madison is no longer employed, but a Gwyneth Cattrall is now listed. Special service interpreter Susan Ford no longer works in this apartment. Okay. Major expenses: 5 pieces flavored strawberry, 5 pieces flavor development. What is that? Zygua? I don't know. I don't know. Butterscotch. We had the caviar, the Eve ball, the spectacular, the Christmas tree bash, more flavor development, more parties. What's this? Grandorf. What's this? Highlight. Okay. Okay, so there's 1 clue in here, 2 clues in here, 2 clues here, 3 clues, and then 1 clue here. This one I just highlighted. Okay, I'll come back to search this up, but let me see what's in here. Oops. Okay, so Guy Hudson died in May of 1982. So the first few months of that year continued along the same pattern as they had been. Things quickly changed when Ernie took over. Most of the extraneous expenses ended, and all the secretaries, most handpicked by Guy Hudson, were let go. So I think a lot of the clues are the women names that were being listed. But like I said, he has so many affairs, it's kind of hard to classify who. So I'm gonna see what's gonna happen when I click a hint. Or let go. Sam Matson left Roottree in 1984, so this is the last set of books you have access to. Okay. The following changes were recorded. Ernest Matson Jr. replaces Guy Hudson. Carl Roottree joins a special management. Susan Ford is no longer employed by Roottree. No change, no change. Ernest Matson Jr. no longer works in this department. Douglas Rosenberg was rehired. Okay, Douglas, welcome back. Probably need to look him up because how come you came back? Angela Ingram, Linda Lewis, and Katherine Garrett are no longer employed by Roottree. From here on out, no secretaries are directly employed by Roottree. Roottree instead uses a temp agency called Worktime Temp. Thank you. Victor Logan was hired. Stuart Todd is no longer employed by Roottree. Amy Sutton was hired. Sam Matson is no longer employed by Roottree. And then we have, canceled after 5 months. We had development of Sugar Plum, Strawberry, Zygua, if I'm saying that right, Butterscotch. All these got canceled. Wow. They have the New Year's Eve ball, Fred Gleason 50-year anniversary bonus, and Root clothing reimbursement. Carl Roottree, $1 million. Wow. Okay, who's Fred Gleason? That's my first time even hearing that name. Okay, I guess before I click hint, let me look this up. The Grandorf School for the Deaf, formerly Grandorf Dove, is located about an hour from where the Roottree offices used to be in Butler County, but it services much of that part of Pennsylvania and nearby Ohio. According to their website, it was formerly named Grandorf Dove, okay, from 1923 to 1990, because Grandorf was the last name of the founder and Dove is the Danish word for deaf. The founder had issues with government translators, leading to an odd transcription issue. In 1990, it was renamed to better represent the school's purpose and to correct the embarrassing lack of effort and awareness demonstrated by the government officials in these early days. The staff is listed on the website. You can scan through all of the biographies and find that the principal, Miss Ford, is fluent in 5 languages, including ASL, American Sign Language. She had been working at the school for over 15 years. Is this Susan Ford? Miss Ford bio also mentions she's not deaf herself, but rather learned sign language to communicate with the deaf. It mentions that she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Interesting how we had a Susan and she's also was a part of working with them, and now all of a sudden she is dilloping in a Hudson Wing. Named after Guy Hudson, I'm sure. The Hudson Wing was an expansion to Grandolph's Dove, now Grandolph School of the Deaf, first built in 1982. It's a separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus, and operates as a small independent school that offers free ASL courses for the family members, friends, and caretakers of deaf children. According to their history site, they got their name after the president of the Roottree Company generously donated $250,000 towards the construction of the building. There's also a very vague history section that you can somewhat fill in with details from other information you've seen about the school. It mentions that the donation came at the insistence of an employee of Roottree at the time. It mentions that she learned ASL from the main school before the Hudson Wing even existed, to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. After realizing how useful a service like this could be to non-deaf people that wish to better service those with hearing issues, she convinced Roottree management to invest in the school. The Hudson Wing opened and she became the first teacher at the new campus. At first, it only operated on weekends, but since then, it has added an afternoon class on some weekdays. Interesting. Let me look up this. Okay, that's the same information. Let me see if I search Susan Ford. What happened? Nothing. And I search the periodicals. Do I need to remove the quotes? Okay. All right. Let's see. Randolph Dove was a school for the deaf near Butler and was regularly listed in articles with other local schools. The Butler County Times archives includes what seems like an endless list of snow cancellation, extracurricular activities, and weekend events that began over 70 years ago and stretched until the last mention in 1990. Amongst the avalanche of useful information, you almost miraculously discovered one useful article. Randolph Dove was at the center of a crime article from 1982. It seems that someone defaced the school and vehicles outside the brand new Hudson Wing of the school. There were multiple broken windows, and one of the teacher cars were painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. Ooh. A few weeks later, a follow-up article provides more detail. There was one arrest. Thomas Hughes, he knew what was going on, who was coincidentally a former student at the school. Apparently, the destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was not a teacher when he went. He graduated a few years earlier. According to the reporter's investigation into the police reports, trials, and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that she was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school has agreed not to press criminal charges after an agreement was made to pay for the damages. and for the couple to begin divorce proceedings. It seems Thomas Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, and the Hudson Wing have all avoided further appearances in the Butler County. Mm. So I'm gonna go with her. It was Susan Hughes. That's what I have to say. I know they said they. Is that even how you spell it? Did all that? Is that how you even spell it? How did I spell it? Okay, let me get a hint. It says you have a photo of Stephanie's baby. Okay. On Stephanie Jones' Spider Search page, there's a clue. Are y'all telling me about the baby name? I don't care about this baby name. I'm trying to find out who is Child. Okay, it says it seems Brian Jones has been busy updating Stephanie Jones' campaign website. 2 new sections exist. The first is baby photo. There you see a picture of their new family together in the hospital. According to the site, our daughter was named after her grandmother, which ended up being very fitting considering she was born the night before Christmas. Okay. The second is what's next. There is not much of substance there right now, but it lists some small accomplishments and finishes with the recent rise in popularity. And controversial surrounding my extended family, there has been some extra attention on me. Stay tuned for announcements in the coming months about how I plan to use this publicity to accomplish bigger and better things. Okay. Our daughter was named after her grandmother. Okay. Where is she? She's over here. Right? Right. Who is her grandmother? Are you talking about Gwendolyn? Or are you talking about... Yeah, you gotta be talking about Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn Roottree. So is it gonna be Gwendolyn... Or not. Or not. Never know. Hold on. Let's go back to Spiders or the hint. What did the hint tell me? There's a clue about the baby's first name. Is it after... Oh, the baby was named after her grandmother. Oh my god, I'm so slow, guys. Chow. Caroline. Her baby name is Caroline Jones. She's a baby. Okay, but I'm not seeing that. Let me go with Carol. Oh my god, why didn't it? Her occupation is baby. So wait, what? It took me this whole nother thing. You can fill in 5P's mother's using her portrait from the company's picnic. In news time, 5P's revealed his mother's first name and occupation. Find out her last name, look in the company records for a match on her first name. Oh crap, Joanne Robertson was a cashier. I thought I had this locked in already. Oh. I had the wrong last name. Alright, well they gave me that. I guess I won't know if this is correct until I get it locked in, y'all. I don't know. Clearly, the Hughes one would be one of these. But that would mean they would have shared the kid together. They only said one kid. So I'm assuming this is them. Thomas Hughes. They said that was the last time they showed up in the Bounty County. They didn't say anything about any of the other ones. Hold on. What's this? No. Let me go back to those records. Hold on. But you can't tell me. I'm looking for a Hughes in the midst of all this. And even notice Susan Ford was an interpreter, right? And she learned sign language. I know it's Susan. I'm just trying to figure out how can I connect her dots to this. Hold on. Let me look up him real quick. Nothing. Okay, it says Worktime Temp is a company with many offices all over the United States. Root Tree Candy Company is listed on their site as one of the companies they do business with, though it's far from the only one you recognize. As far as you can tell, there's no connection between Work Time Temp and anyone related to your search. Well, that was a waste of my time. Child, I need to lock in some stuff. Hold on, let me lock in. I haven't got enough. I just been doing a lot of reading. Okay. Right, A Christmas Carol. I'm sticking with Carol Jones as the baby name. Okay. Now. Stuart Todd. It's Susan. I gotta figure out where do Susan lie in all this. I don't want to hit another hint, but I know Susan Godley. Susan is the issue. Wait, is there another Susan that was working at? But oh, snaps. I'm confident we're talking about, excuse me. I'm clicking on everything but what I need to click on. I'm confident we're talking about this interpreter. It says Susan Ford no longer works in this department. And that was the last time they talked about Susan. Yeah, maybe I need to research some more about the school. I need another hint. Please keep me on the school. The spider search result for New Edison mentioned something to do with Mary Beth's birth name. One of your periodicals might have more information about the song. Eye on a Sparrow? I didn't think to check that. They kept bringing up the same songs over and over, but I didn't think to look into periodicals about it. Mary Beth Clementine released the Old Rugged Cross for New Edison, and it was advertised quite a few times. When it was first reviewed by the magazine, however, it listed that artist as Mary Beth Quaker. Who that is? So her original name is not Clementine, it's Quaker. Was she married to become Clementine? So is Clementine just a stage name? But her kid's last name is Clementine. Child. I promise y'all I'm trying to read to understand and not just read to be reading. But I'm so confused. This is Regina Clementine. Husband Stuart Clementine. Okay. I'm gonna stick to her name being Clementine, but I don't know what Quaker has to do with anything. Besides to throw me off. Let me see what this rubber ducky gonna tell me one more time. Give me something easy. You should look into Mary Beth's children. Stuart and Clementine. What was her other son name? So there's a picture with... Dang it, I should have highlighted the kids' names. Okay, let's just put Stuart picture down right here for now. Regina Clementine. Okay, Mark. That's his name. I was right. Mark. I knew I wasn't tripping. Okay, Mark. But how am I gonna find out who he was married to? Alrighty, there we go. It says Mark Clementine, Crocodile Clementine, is listed on the website titled The Infamy List. I need that. Now he's a criminal. It says a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply he hails from Florida, a lot of others on the list come from there or Australia. Australia is giving very much guy. Mark is listed as being from Los Angeles. He has a pretty big entry. He seems like a real piece of work. There's a very small note about him being the basket baby of 1950, but most everything else comes from his adulthood. He lost his job in 1975 as a pilot for regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airplane. Oh crap, he was drunk. He was charged with trespassing and assault. In 1982, he was arrested for transporting smuggled animals over the Canadian and Mexican border for an illegal reptile supplier in Los Angeles. He was apparently quite successful for the first 4 years, but was caught when he had to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten on the foot by a crocodile, hence the nickname. Okay. Apparently, the Portland Telegraph is credited as having given him his nickname. His mugshot from his incident has been added to your photos. In 1993, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 1994 in San Diego for violating for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. He famously punched a principal, a man named Billy Sims. Okay. The incident received national press. Okay. All right, so we know he has a daughter, so that's perfect. Okay, let's start with Billy Sims since we're down here, and then we're gonna look at his mugshot. Billy Sims is the principal of Sandstone Canyon High School who had his 15 minutes of fame in 1994 when he was punched by Crocodile Clementine at a graduation ceremony. Pretty much every news organization from Trustworthy to tabloids seemed to have their own take on the altercation. It wasn't the punch that captured the nation's attention, however, instead it was Billy Sims' matter-of-fact response to the threat in his comments afterwards. As heard in a now famous audio clip from someone who was recording the ceremony, Billy saw Mark hop onto the graduation stage and said, "Sir, you will want to sit down or we'll have a problem." At that point, Crocodile reportedly sucker punched him in the face. Billy, apparently only slightly dazed, said, "All right, sir, I guess we'll have a problem." Child, you should have just sat down. Clementine tried to throw another punch, but Sims anticipated it and was performed a maneuver that spectators describes as a wrestling move mixed with backward somersault, which immediately brought both men to the floor, with Sims straddling Clementine, keeping him neutralized. Oh, okay, so he handled it. He handled it. As security arrived, the recording captured someone asking, "How did you do that?" And Sims' response was famously, "Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone." Okay. So should I go to Sandstone High School to get his daughter's name? Sandstone High School in San Diego, there's not much information, although it's mentioned. Okay. Let's go back. Is there anything else here? Okay. The infamy list. Nope, there's some. I can still search that. Okay, let's look at his mugshot. No. You found this mugshot online. It's Mark Clementine, who was arrested for smuggling reptiles into the United States. Well, there's another picture of you. Should I put it here? Once you verify the person, you'll be able to add a bonus photo. Okay, so should I also search Stuart Clementine? I'm tired of them acting like I don't know how to spell Clement. Clementine isn't a popular last name, and you managed to find a Stuart Clementine listed as one of the many names on the emergency service website in New Orleans. It seems he's a police officer. He has no web presence. Okay, well, we kind of knew that because his wife said that. What do you put if they're not employed? Because wasn't he just in jail or something? Locked up? Is that an option? I don't see anything for now. Okay, maybe we should go to, if it made national news, then 9 times out of 10 it's definitely gonna be something. News time. Let's see. News Times. There we go. Thank you. I'm in my eye. News Times did a small piece about a fight between Sims and Crocodile, but tried to approach it from a different perspective. Their goal was to paint a picture of two men involved from others who knew them best. Not only did they manage to interview Sims' wife, Carla, as well as multiple staff members at his school, but they hunted down Colleen Webb, Mark's ex-wife. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Highlight. What's her name? Colleen. Not that Carlene. Carlene. According to the section with Colleen, she and he met when he worked for an airline. She worked in an airport newsstand. He was a drinker and will often have wild mood swings. When he was charged with assault of a fellow pilot in 1975 and lost his job, they divorced. At the time, she was pregnant with their second daughter, and she felt she needed to get out of before things got worse. She left him and moved to San Diego to live with her sister and told her oldest that her dad had to fly planes for the army. She raised them both by herself, and although she never went through the trouble of changing their names legally, they used web names so that nobody would connect them to her ex-husband. Okay. So... Oops, crap. I meant to search Colleen. So my thing is, when are we going to get to tell me these kids' name? According to the Regina, she was active between the 30s and 50s, which aligns with possible infidelity. That's where I'm at. Mary Beth was a gospel singer who visited churches. Okay. So did she date The dad or the son? You can fill in Miracle Root Tree using this information from the previous tree in his photo in News Time. Miracle Root Tree appeared on the cover. News Time denied that Felix Fellows was a root tree. Okay, he was talking about this. Okay, because this was her original name. Then she got married. I was right. So that goes for the other lady too. When her name got updated to something else. Okay, but they didn't update Hughes. So that means that she probably left the company before she can get that last name. Y'all, I'm really trying here. I'm trying to lock in something before I end this episode because I like to at least record an hour, and I know it's well over an hour. Okay, so let me think. I haven't even gotten into his situation. I don't have a picture of Addison Sterling. Where am I finding? Let me see if he's in. I thought I searched his name. Oh my God, what type of typing? And I gotta be careful because typing punctuations and stuff do matter in this. Search. I just need to get a picture of him. Okay, let me search this. This probably be where I can get some more information. It says Edison Records was one of the first record labels named after Thomas Edison. The history of the company seems very unimportant except for potentially a lawsuit that they filed in 1949. A website about a lawsuit mentions this as a fun case because the name of the lawsuit was actually the biggest problem for the person being sued. A record producer who called himself Edison was immediately outed as not actually being named Edison. Addison was a German last name, or Addisel was a German last name, and at the time of the founding of the company, the U.S. was at war with Germany. The company founder immediately settled to try to get the case to go away, but the damage was done. What? So his last name is Edisel? He's Sterling Edsel? I don't know anything anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't even know what this game is anymore. Okay, periodicals. You found no appearance of anyone named Sterling Edison in modern. It seems that whatever he got up to after he was sued by Edison Records, he no longer seemed newsworthy. Interesting. The same year this lawsuit happened is the same year the affair happened. I don't know, guys. I don't know what I am stuck. I'm genuinely stuck. It's like I don't understand what's happening right now. Like I want to get a picture of him. I don't need to, but I like to get everything completed if I can. I have the younger picture of him or whatever picture is supposed to be in there. I'm assuming this is the only picture we're going to have of Stuart because he doesn't be online. He's a police officer. I'm not even worried about Elias' situation right now. I'm trying to focus on this situation. He do have 2 kids. It's just all about finding out their name. And they do go by the last name Webb. Let's go back to Crocodile real quick. I need another hint. And so you can fill in Miracle Root Tree using information from the previous tree on his... Wait, what? I can fill in Miracle's root tree using his previous information. Okay, whatever. Is this backward? No, this is right because he still had... Yeah, I think all of this is correct. He got a divorce, so he has to stay here. He's still married. I did see that in her letter. She said something about Seltzar. What is this? Regina Clementine needs Seltzar. I'm confused about this thing. What do they want me to do? Do I have the wrong picture? Is that what they're trying to tell me? Do I use this? Oh. Ciao. Okay, I locked in 8 people. And you also lock the following optional entry. Yay. Is someone gonna come knock at my door? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 more people? Do y'all think I can lock in 4 more people before we end this episode? I know I'm gonna have to use a cheat. I know I'm gonna use a hint, okay? Let's just get it. It's thanks to modern music, you have Mary Beth's birth name. You can fill her in. I did that already. Oh, Quaker? I see a pilot. Is that what they want me to put? Okay. Yeah, what's the extra hint? It says the public library mentioned that Kitchen Tales was re-released with a different title. What in the world is Kitchen Tales? I don't even know what that is. Let me spider search Kitchen Tales, because did we even find out about that? They gotta be under something with Guy Hudson, because this research, and I don't remember past research. Kitchen Tales was a story-based recipe credited to Mark Zimmer that had some success after it was featured on a morning talk show. The book released before the internet was widespread, so mentions are rare. One book collector states that the publisher were unprepared for the demand, and there was no second printing, so it's unusual to find a copy in the wild. I faintly remember something like this. You find an alternative medicine website which focuses on cooking with natural ingredients. It mentions that one of Kitchen Tales' recipe uses salt water. The owner of the site has included a scan of their recipe, which was added to your evidence. She says if you switch out the salt water in the recipe for a mix of 2/3 spring water and 1/3 filtered seawater, it tastes great. Okay, there's two clues in this. Let's read and let's pay attention, guys. Kitchen Tales is a book that combines recipes and stories. It had a mild popularity but seemed to disappear from online marketplaces in 1992. You found the scan of one story on a website. It demonstrates how to bake the plated loaf. For years, two bakers, Flora and Yates, flirted. They grew their friendship, compared recipes, and combined knowledge. She loved his salt and pepper beard. He adored her rosemary cheeks. They thought sweetly about one another, but he was one day whisked away, conscripted to bake the army's bread. By the oil of the lamp, Flora's tears began to salt her bread. The recipe asks that the reader to combine flour, yeast, sugar, olive oil, and rosemary. Combine the salt and water together and add the mixture and whisk until the dough begins to form. It was 12 years later that they met again, seemingly by fate. Flora's unique dough had earned her a position as the king's personal baker. Yates had found success as well. He baked for the kingdom 45 diplomats. One day they returned from the Dutch Isle with a gift, 450 unbaked loaves, and were sent to the palace bakery to teach a method that required no kneading. Allow the dough to proof for 10 to 12 hours, then spread it out and let sit for over 45 minutes on a floured baking sheet with no kneading. Next, prepare a Dutch oven preheated to 450 degrees. Upon seeing Yates, Flora was both delighted and distraught. She felt as if she was torn in two. She had not made aware of the gift and had already prepared buns for the palace ovens. She wished to greet Yates warmly, but was struck by fears that he'd be unable to bake with her, that she'd face retribution for being unprepared. She cried to Yates, I'm adding words and removing words, adding more salt to her dough. Cut the dough into 2 equal pieces and lightly sprinkle salt across the top of one of them. Yates eased her pain. He insisted she had no obligation to prepare for a return she thought impossible. But he shared her fear of retribution. He knew if they did not solve her predicament, they had missed their final chance to bake together. In the end, instead of wallowing in the present, they worked together to shape the future. They twisted and entwined their doughs and baked them as one. Thus was born the plated loaf. Word quickly spread of the new delight. The queen decree on royal parchment was that it would be considered a delicacy. Roll and twist the pieces to entwine them, then take the twist and wrap around the inside of the Dutch oven. A top parchment form outside inward to make a spiral. Bankrolled by the king, Flora and Yates spent their days baking together. They traveled for 45 years and settled down for 15 more. Their souls were golden with no regret. Lastly, bake for 45 minutes, remove lid, and observe until crust is golden brown, which should take up to 15 minutes. I have no clue who they're talking about. I don't. I thought since it was a Mark Zimmerman book, I thought it was something going on with him and his wife. But I don't know anymore. So Clue, what was the point of you giving me this? There aren't any results in the public library before, so maybe a broader internet search would help. I searched it. I searched it. Now what? Spider search, garnishing the truth. What? Where's all these things coming from? I read all this and I didn't even get anything about garnishing the truth. Interesting. Garnishing the Truth is a cookbook credited to Garland and Zimmer. It was released in 1994. It was actually quite successful after the duo appeared to promote it on a daytime talk show. So is Garland and Zimmer, is this who what we were talking about in the book? In the story there have been multiple printings since. According to a book review, the recipes are accompanied by stories. Okay. The reviewer says that it seems perfect for learning how to cook with the entire family. Got it. Okay, so who is Mark Zimmer and Garland again? Oh gosh, I'm not typing anything. Mark Zimmer. Okay, that didn't give me anything. I remember this name. I just don't remember what. Steve Garland. Okay. So they ended up working together on a book? Yeah, this is what I remember reading like way back when. Let me think. The blurb mention. Okay. What is this? Because according to Spider Search results for Garnishing the Truth, there's a new author involved. Oh, is it Garland? Is that what we're supposed to be looking for? No, public library. It says, the introduction of this book is a series of acknowledgments from Steve. The first is Christine. Thank you for everything. Your support means the world to me. You are the apple of my pie. The second is to James and Robert. You're becoming amazing men and incredible chefs. I guess I'm a good teacher. The final is to Mark Zimmer. You prove my storytelling approach to recipes could be popular. Without you, this book couldn't exist. Okay. There's also a foreword by Mark Zimmer. I first met Steve in 1978 when he taught a cooking class. The next time I saw him was over a decade later when he was suing me for stealing his recipes. Yes, really. So you might wonder what I'm doing in this introduction. Well, it turns out that Steve and I have more in common than we thought. Instead of settling in court, we settle it at McCarran's Brew over a game of darts. They said they'd give us the first drink of the night, free for an entire year for mentioning them. By the end of the game, he and I agreed we both rather make a ton of money together than spend a ton of money on lawyers. It's pretty rare to meet your best friend so late in life, but when I decided to retire, I moved to Boston just so we could hang out. So if you're browsing this book in a bookstore, please buy our book. We need more money for when the free beer runs out and the bookstore could probably use to sell. Okay. So I'm assuming that that story about the books or whatnot was about them. I'm confused. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue what's going on still. It has a bunch of useful information. During his foreword, Mark mentioned a restaurant in Boston. Maybe he can give us a lead on the Garlands? See, look, that's what I'm saying. Like, how would I know this has anything to do with the Garlands? I'm thinking this is just something they went out to eat and they just mentioned it because, like he said, they said to give us a mention. We can give the beer. You know, like, how would I have known this was actually important to what's going on? Okay, McCarran's Brew House is a pub in Boston and they have a website. Apparently, the bar has been around a long time. On the site, there's a list of famous people who had a drink there, including former president of the United States, not the Root Tree Company, Kennedy. There's also a few listings of television shows and books that have mentioned McCarran's as well as how they came up. One of them is Garnishing the Truth, which the site has this to say about. Local and regular Stevie G wrote a book about food. We prefer cocktails, but he gave us a shout out and we ain't gonna say no to free press. So go grab, what does this have to do with me? So go grab a bite at his kid's joint, Fry Die, and then swing by. Okay, I guess this is why I'm here. Fry Die is a fairly popular restaurant in Boston. They don't have a website, but many locals seem to mention them in various places. One more in-depth review explains that it's not a full restaurant, just a front door and a very small interior with the window. Usually the restaurant only serves vegetables, but a lot of reviews say that in spite of that, it's delicious. You also find a short story about it listed on the website called My Boston Homepage, Whoever runs this page, hold on. Whoever runs this page seems to just link to random sites related to Boston. Tell personal and well, I know this word, but my brain. Anecdotes? Anecdotes? Child, I don't know. Related to Boston and give their relatively short opinions on things in Boston. Is very unorganized. As this to say about Friday, wicked, overrated. I saw its chef's signature, so I went in there with a huge line. They didn't have a single meat dish. Was even the point. Okay, so it's just a vegetarian or a vegan spot. My Boston homepage is run by someone with eclectic taste. They claim to rate things on a scale from wicked awful to wicked wicked. The most recent thing to receive a wicked awful was an antique store called Bee Things. Apparently, Bee's Things. Apparently, the owner Beatrice is not very friendly. The most recent establishment to receive a wicked wicked is the comic book store Cambridge called the Million Year Picnic. As far as you can tell, nothing besides Friday seems to be connected to your search in any way. Not even Bee's Things. Bee Things is an antique store located in Boston. The owner's name is Beatrice, and the store name appears to be somewhat awkward attempt at a Bee Stings pun. I didn't catch that. This is supported by what can only be described as a swarm of bees related imagery and puns on their website. Their logo has a pastel yellow and black striped theme with the clip art insects all over it. It mentions that all of Boston is buzzing for bees. There's even a listing for a vintage armory. I hate this word because I had a struggle with this word last time with something else. That mentions it has plenty of room for all your yellow jackets in it. At the bottom it states, "Fly on down, honey, and make a deal with the bill." Nothing here. Okay. How about the comic book store? I know it has nothing to do with me, but at this rate, wait a minute. The Million Year Picnic is a comic book store in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's one of the oldest comic book stores in the United States, founded in 1974 and named after a short story by Ray Bradbury. Named after a short story. If you decide to visit the Million Year Picnic for the first time after playing the game, please tell the owner, Tony, that you heard about his store from the video game, The Root Trees Are Dead by Jeremy. Oh, is that real? Jeremy Johnston. Fair warning, he has no idea that I did this and will probably be somewhat confused if you're the first person to tell me or to tell him. Wow, that's kind of cool. Okay, so what? It's Stevie G is what I'm supposed to be searching? What was this hint? What was that hint? There was a reference to a magazine on the Friday search results. I don't recall. Oh, there we go. Do anyone see anything about a magazine? I don't know, but I guess I will go search it up in the many periodicals that we can search. The magazine is called Chef's Signature, and it sounds like they have more information on the restaurant. I do not recall seeing that. Oh, it's down here. I saw it on Chef's Signature. I didn't take that as a magazine. Oh my god. New periodical added. Chef's Signature is a magazine related to food. Got it. Okay. Chef's Signature covered Friday less than a year ago, right around the time you were doing your initial investigation. Each article in Chef's Signature tends to focus on a restaurant, and like the magazine's name implies, each restaurant lists the one main dish that the head chef is known for. Friday's signature is the samosa cone. Can a vegetarian diet be trendy? I have no clue who these kids are or what's going on with their family. I'm not gonna lie. Why can't I click on his face? There we go. Sitting down with the Garlands, the new boys in Boston. It says Chef's Signature, a nationally published magazine targeted towards fans. An unusual restaurant featured James and Robert Garland on the cover of their November 1998 issue. According to the article, the two brothers own a small walk-up window in Boston called Friday, a play on the tie-dye shirts that the servers wear that exclusively serves vegetarian dishes. Most of the offerings are heavily inspired by the powerful spices found in Thai and Indian food. Their signature dish is the samosa cone, which from a distance somewhat resembles a traditional ice cream, complete with a waffle pattern. Instead, it contains fried potatoes, pureed peas, carrots, and a special ginger-based sauce. Robert, who is 3 years younger than James, jokes that although the age difference has left him delegated to wear the sous chef jacket his whole life, he doesn't mind. As a result, James answers most of the interviewers' questions. James credits his love for food and his culinary skill to their upbringing. Most kids hate vegetables growing up, but they don't have parents like we did. My father was a chef, and my mother grew up on a farm that supplied his... Oh wait, is that Sam? I kind of remember faintly this story that they're talking about. My mother grew up on a farm that supplied his restaurant. That's how they met. I don't have any memories from the farm or anything like that since we moved here before I could even talk. But they told me stories. My dad's a great storyteller. He even wrote a book that partially helped fund Friday. When we moved, they were looking to open their own restaurant together. Unfortunately, they never got it off the ground. His line cook gig ended up being less temporary than he hoped, and she had to go back to work as a secretary even after Robert was born. Who was his mom? Before we were old enough to go to school, we spent our days with my aunt. In the diner where he worked, my dad had no room for experimenting, so he'd exercise his skills at home on his days off. We'd always go shopping and cook as a family on those days, and even though we were hyper kids running around and causing a ruckus, those were some of our family's favorite memories since we were all together. Mom always had the eye for the best vegetables for him to work with, and she did her best to pass that on to us. According to the article, their parents, who are now retired, visit Friday often. They even have a signature dessert, the Sistine apple. Apple pie has always been my mom's favorite, and my dad always had this stupid line that he used to make her laugh involving apple pie. Most people realize it's a Sistine Chapel pun and assume that all there is to it, but it's actually secretly named after them, sort of. Christine and, what's his name? Steve? Okay, hold on. Let's go back to this. What year did their mom have to go back being a secretary? 1988 according. Okay, they didn't give a year, but I'm gonna look at the name. His name was Steve. Her name was Christine. We just need to either find something remotely close. But my only thing is, it has to be when Guy took over. It had to be. So this has to be one of those affairs with Guy. Right there. Christine Garland, Christine Farrow. Why did not click that earlier? And then they had 2 kids. Okay. Christine Garland, Christine Farrow. She was married with 2 kids. Her husband never got a divorce. His name was Steven? Whatever. Christine Farrow. She was, I don't know if they wanted her to be a secretary. Who was older? Robert, who is 3. Okay, so he's wearing the sous chef shirt. Robert is the sous chef. He's younger. Robert is younger. Oh, I got them in the right spot. Good. Robert Garland and James. I'm like, what's his name? Garland. Are they chefs? Oh, there we go. I'm so proud of myself. My detective skills. Is that our 12 that we needed? I think so. Thank you. In the breast.
Sam reached out to me finally. I think I have you to thank for that one. My family's in a bit of a rough patch. Even though the candy is selling better than ever, everyone is fighting over the trust. The majority of us want to dissolve it. On paper, it seems like the right decision. The arguments about what to do next are endless and heated. More than a few root trees are worried about losing their wealth. I don't think we deserve it more than anyone else. I love my family, my wife, my daughters, even my son, who I hardly ever get to see. I want to keep them safe and secure, but I didn't do anything to deserve this fortune. Hell, I probably deserve it less than most. It took me way too long to get my life together. Okay, enough about me. Here's the deal. I can't stop the majority from voting one way or another. If you keep passing along potential root trees, I'll keep adding them to the list. On the other hand, there's been some leaps forward in genetics. It may sound like science fiction, but we can actually determine who's in the family just by testing their DNA. What you've done so far has been very useful. Just keep filling out the tree and we'll prepare for the tests.
Alrighty. So this is where we actually gonna leave it off, guys. We was able to lock in a few more people. I don't think I have a picture of her yet. Yeah, Christine, I don't think I have a picture of it. But then again, I didn't even search her name. So we'll search that on the next one. But as you can see, we are pretty much almost done. When I say almost, like half. Almost is like a little over a half. So yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm just drained because I recorded like so many videos today. And it's just like playing this last when it's just so soothing. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for bed. But yeah, I'm proud of the progress. So when we come back, as you can see, we have to complete 20. We need to find what's that? 15, that's 3, plus another 5, 8? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, okay, so 8 more people. This is already right here. That's 4 people we can lock in. All right, we'll figure it out on the next episode. We'll figure it out. All right, y'all. As y'all can see, I am tired. I was going to record more videos, but that is a lie. I'm going to end it with the root trees with this recording binge session. And I have more videos to come, y'all. If y'all enjoyed this episode, if you've been enjoying this series, or even if you just enjoyed this channel, I slapped you in the face. I'm so sorry. If you've been enjoying this channel, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We finally broke into the 400s, and I'm so proud of that. And I cannot wait until we reach our next milestone, which will be 500. I know that's a big jump, but I'm feeling very hopeful and motivated. So I believe in us as a community to spread the word to get us to 500. But yeah, other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Y'all make sure y'all get you some good sleep, okay? Make sure you get you some good rest. Your body needs it. It's very important. As much as water, good rest as well.